Yes. Come on. Come on. We're all ready. We're all coiffured.
Yeah.
Yes, we're live. Here we go. See, I was totally ready. There's Claire, all ready and perfect. And here's me putting my earrings on. Do you know, it's nice to get dressed up, Claire, being as I've been home for so many months.
And I've got my summer haircut now as well, which, you know, it looks a little bit more, you know, lighter than what it's been over the last few weeks.
Very nice, very nice. There we are.
Right. So it is lovely to see you again today. We really enjoyed yesterday. Thank you so much. It was such a great afternoon. For those who missed it, you know, you can come back and watch the replay on Jennie's channel or on YouTube channel as well. And I've uploaded it as well. So, you know, we're both, you know, sharing the same love, aren't we? The same love.
Oh, yes. That brings us nicely to the subject of today's live stream, because when you like someone, or even when you're in love with someone that you French people know all about, ooh la la, then rapport is natural and easy and wonderful. I mean, just go to a cafe or a bar and watch people who are newly in love, who are hanging on the other person's every word, and when they change posture, the other one changes posture and looks lovingly into their eyes. You know, that's rapport. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, I think rapport was probably one of the biggest things that I've been using on the absolutely regular basis. Every single day, there's something that I've been, you know, since obviously learning it with you, that I've been using it and actually using it to train other people to build rapport, because it's just so important, isn't it?
How is it important, Claire? You tell me. How has it changed your life, knowing these rapport skills? Come on.
Well, not just in my personal life. I remember we were saying a story with my son at the time, was a little bit younger. He must have been about 17 or 18. And we were kind of, you know, we had a mother-son kind of conversation. Oh. You know, that kind of conversation. And, you know, we discussed how to actually communicate in a better way. So in a personal life, it was just, you know, something I wanted to try to get closer and be able to communicate with my son 17, who really, you know, wasn't really bothered about what I was saying or how I was saying it. And actually, just by changing my position when I was talking to him and changing some of the words that I was using, made a huge impact. It was incredible to be able to actually have a conversation, because we were in rapport, you know, and that was a big story for me, just to be able to recommunicate and actually enhance, you know, a communication, private communication. And I think a lot of people in a business or in a workplace, you know, I've been doing a lot of networking training, and networking rapport is just so important, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you passed the test, Claire. Did you see my little test there a moment ago? I really thought. I'm sure our viewers will have watched it, because as you were talking about something enthralling and entirely interesting, and I was interested, I purposely looked away, checked my phone, altered myself, I wasn't in rapport with the camera because I was doing my earrings, etc. Usually that puts people off. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by putting a person off? When we think that we're not being listened to, I mean, I don't know what your unconscious was thinking at that point. You were being very, very nice, very forgiving of my inattention, which I purposely didn't give. But maybe you thought, well, other people are attending to me, other people are being attentive, because we've got viewers, we know that this is being recorded, and so I'll just carry on. You are able, because you are a consummate professional, you are able to continue on your train of thought and to continue with the conversation and your presentation, even if somebody's not particularly interested or they're checking their watch. And I think that's probably because we've been trained that way over many years of presenting, haven't we, Claire?
Yeah. So.
Don't do it to me, you know I get hurt. Oh,
So
you're
really,
absolutely right. Yes. Sorry, carry on.
no, I'm just saying, really, if we want, what is rapport then?
Well, it's from the French. It's a
Rapport.
French word, which apparently means, initially it meant bring back. Does
Yes.
that perhaps mean what I'm giving out to you, I would like to receive back, please? I'm giving you my attention, I'm giving you my love, and what am I getting back? I wonder. Any thoughts on that, Claire, as it is from the French? Rapport.
Well, yeah, rapport, rapporteur. Donc, so it's the word that you're bringing something back. So, but in the English translation of rapport, it's more about relationship, isn't it?
Well,
in terms of rapporteur, which is something you bring back.
To get back something that we're giving out, maybe. So with the matching and the mirroring, I'm giving out something. I might be touching my face or even my voice tone. We can talk in a very energized way. I've seen your videos, Claire. I know how enthusiastic you get. I know it can be a very, very energetic presentation. And yet when you talk to me, you do shift that somewhat. You fall into rapport with me. There's a kind of, we call it also entrainment, in that we know we want to communicate well together. And so you are kind of talking at the same pitch and tonality as me. Though some of our other videos, particularly some of my hypnosis videos, you'll see that the voice tone drops a little and the pace is slower and it's a different thing. And I won't carry on because people just nod off. I'm very skilled in putting people to sleep.
Really? I've not noticed.
We balance each other out because you've got that vibe going, you've got that energetic presentation, that zest for life, that enthusiasm that's very enviable to many. Though I'm going to refer, because I've been doing my research, because although that we know this back to front, it's always good to bring in a new element. So I've been looking at our friend Tony Robbins.
Oh, right.
He's just done his 7-day comeback challenge. Very energetic. He won't come on stage until everybody's bouncing. Come on, bounce with me, bounce with me. He wants to get that energy going, which is kind of quite the opposite to me. Do you think I'm in rapport with Tony? I do love that energy, but I've just had a quick look, just so that everybody has something useful to bring to the table at the moment. And his interpretation of rapport is that rapport is power. He says it's a feeling of commonality that creates a spark. And you know, on our course, Claire, I said there's this NLP phrase that the brain likes what's the same and notices what's different. In the noticing of what's different, we either choose to come on board, if you like, with the person that we're communicating with, or we form an opinion that don't like you, don't really want to keep talking to you. It's actually, in my opinion, it is linked to how much we like someone or how much we want them to like us.
Right.
Which is a lot of what business is about, isn't it? Because I want something from you. I mean, business is a fair exchange of goods and services. So I want to give you something, or I want to buy something from you for a good price. So therefore, we automatically fall into rapport. If we're not interested in that person, if we don't like them at all, there's no rapport.
No.
Yeah. So
very quick, isn't it? I mean, I know in my training sessions, I says, I'd found that figure that it takes 7 seconds for somebody to make a first opinion of you just by perception. So 55% of the people will actually make a perception of you, an assumption of you, whether they like you or not, by just looking at you.
Yes. It's
So
a case
that's
of
incredible.
Style and substance. I've got some millionaire friends
Ooh.
and who purposely dress down when they meet somebody who they think is going to be influenced by their wealth. They want to be treated as a normal, regular person. And so the people, I'm getting into dodgy territory here, but sometimes the climbers, the people that want to ingratiate themselves with the wealthy, they're the ones that wear the rings and the jewelry and get very coiffured because they want to be like those who they think have money. And yet a lot of the people I know that have money, they don't care what they look like. They don't need to impress anybody,
It comes back to that mirroring, isn't it? So they're mirroring what they think looks good or looks rich or looks abundant. So, Jenny, tell me, what can we mirror? I love mirroring. What do we mirror? What can somebody mirror without feeling or without making it obvious?
Well, that's a very good point, because mirroring in and of itself is so noticed by the unconscious that you'll be caught out. Let's say that there is somebody that you either like or you want them to like you, and maybe you even want to emulate, you want to communicate better with. Because you want something from them, and that's not always tangible. I mean, take it the situation as you talked about with your teenagers. Sometimes we just want some information. We just want some kindness. We just want some communication. When they were little, they couldn't get enough of us, could they? We were the center of their universe. And sometimes when they cross over into those teenage years, it's kind of grunt. You're right. So we want something from the relationship. Rapport to me is a relationship. Again, Tony Robbins says it's about total responsiveness. And that comes naturally and easily when we like somebody or we want them to like us, particularly in the first flushes of relationship. What we can do, we can talk at the same pitch and tonality, the same speed as the person who's talking to us. So if we were out of rapport, Claire, one of us would be talking very, very quickly and would be looking away and, are we live yet? Oh, yeah. And the other one would be thinking, oh, come on. And sometimes, once we notice that different state in another person, in order to calm them down, sometimes we calm ourselves, but they get more and more irritated because their antennae is saying, you're not the same as me. You're not the same as me. This is nothing to do with the quality of the overall relationship. I see quite a few couples, and they obviously love each other very much. Yet in the rigors and mundaneness of everyday life, particularly in this kind of lockdown situations, quite often they go into their own little world and they disconnect somewhat from the person they're living with. They have a break of rapport. So that doesn't mean they don't love each other. It means in that red hot moment, they don't have that communication flow. And quite a lot of what I do is to kind of teach people to get along with each other again and remember that first flush of interest. Go and do different things, come back together, and then regain that rapport. It's primal. So let's get back to basics. When you said, what can we do? What can we do? I'm going to tell you what happened to me today. My useful bit of information for today, Claire.
Okay, let's do this.
I'm sitting there outside drinking my tea. Here we are.
As you would do, yes, of course. We all have to have a cup of tea.
And I'm on a deck chair outside amongst the weeds. I'd like to say flowers, but it's mostly weeds. The greenery, let's just say nature. I'm sitting there with my tea and I'm absolutely still, okay? And I noticed this thing fly by. And this is how I want to explain it to you guys, because this rapport thing is a primal thing. Yes, we can talk on the speaking level about how tonality and pitch, etc., and accent affects us. So also, it's all about our body. Our body speaks. Only 7% of our communication is our voice. And so I know what you lads are going to say, you know, about parts of your body speaking. But I'm talking now about body posture. I'm talking about not so much fancying people. Let's bring it down to brass tacks. I'm sitting there completely motionless. Something flies by. And I mean, there's all sorts of things fluttering about in the air, I know. But something in my unconscious says, that was different. What was that? That's interesting. And that's the only movement I do. Because as soon as I turn my head, Claire, I see the most beautiful creature, which I now know is a dragonfly, a very large dragonfly, is suddenly on the wall right next to me. Now, I don't move a muscle. In one sense, the creature thinks it's safe. This tiny little creature of nature, beautiful wings, you know. And by the way, if it was a mayfly, mayflies are much smaller and they sometimes only live for hours. They don't eat. You know, this is my useful information for the day. So mayflowers, as soon as they hatch, they need to find another mayflower to perpetuate the species. But dragonflies, don't know how long they last, but I know it was a dragonfly. It's much bigger. And there it is, completely motionless. And for the longest time, I'm motionless too, and I'm just engaged in rapport, the beauty of the wings, the subtlety of the experience that I'm in, and I'm taking it all in, think, oh, aren't you beautiful? And in that moment of me thinking, I'd just like to take a closer look. You know what happened next? His little brain, or the radar, the universal consciousness, is thinking, you're the same as me, you're the same as me, you're nice and still, I'm nice and still. And suddenly, with the tiniest of movement, flies away. It noticed that I moved. Now, this is a fun thing, guys. If you want to test this out, go to a cafe if you can. Go to a situation, even a park where there's other people, and notice what they're doing. And you do the same thing as them for 10 to 15 minutes. If they've got their nice flask of tea,
cup of tea,
they take a sip, you take a sip. You don't have to look at them. This is nothing to do with eye contact. This is to do with our peripheral vision. When I looked at the comet the other night, I don't know if you guys were looking at the comet, but to see the comet perfectly well, you need to kind of look away and you'll see the tail of the comet in your peripheral vision. Our peripheral vision is the unconscious mind looking at, sensing to see if we're safe and what can bring us pleasure, remember. So in our peripheral vision, we're looking for movement. We're looking for what's the same and what's different. So as soon as you're having your sip of tea, at the same time as them, this is the pacing and the leading, this is the matching and the mirroring. You're not doing exactly the same as them, you're doing an echo. So you're not like a mirror, because if you were like a mirror, they'd know you're copying me. You're actually doing kind of using the opposite hand. If they're crossing their arms, you might be crossing your legs. But certainly if they shift in the seat, which people do from time to time, you shift in your seat. There's nothing more disconcerting than somebody that just sits there or stands there. This is how I get people into trance, because they go, does not compute, does not compute, does not. Kind of Hannibal Lecter, doing nothing. So when you're doing the same as somebody else, even from a distance, do that for a while. And then when they're not taking a sip of their tea or their beer, etc., you do it and notice that they do it.
Yes.
Oh, do you remember, Claire? This is
so powerful, isn't it? So powerful. Yeah.
You're always paying attention.
I mean, it's the pure subconscious completely working there at, you know, a pure level, isn't it? Just to be able. So I talk a lot on rapport building with complaint handling, you know, when I do some teaching on handling complaint, and again, there's a lot to do when you've got somebody who's big because they're angry, they shout at you, they want to, you know, they want to kill you basically. And before I did the course, my thing would have been to say, no, keep you calm, you know, let them talk, but keep you calm, you know, keep your voice calm. And actually, when we did when we did the course, then you realize that actually keeping you calm, you're not at the same level as that customer who's angry. And actually, you need to be at their level for them to start, you know, being able to talk to you at the same level and not a level lower, which then you feel like even more annoyed.
Yeah, do you know why that is? It's because they don't feel understood.
Right.
They're trying to communicate something energetically. And if you're not responding with the same energy, they don't feel understood. They're up for a fight, if you like, in the one extreme. And so by somebody else, let's say that, get my hands the right way around, they're up here and they're and you're here. I mean, we even, as you just did, Claire, we even use our hands to say, calm down, calm down. Even though we're not saying the words, we're intimating that they're wrong to be so energized and we want to calm it down. Never in the history of calming down has anybody calmed down by somebody telling them to calm down, you know? Don't feel understood. And so this is my little trick. I hope my clients forgive me. I do it with the best of intentions. But if my client comes in or they're on screen here and they say, you'll never guess what happened to me today. Well, I went to the shop and nobody's wearing a face mask. And, you know, I'm sure I'm going to get this virus thing. You know what I would say? Oh, my goodness, really? Nobody's wearing a face mask. Well, I mean, heck. So we're both like this. I'm agreeing, but I might not be agreeing. I might say, what the hell are you wearing a face mask for? You don't really need to wear a face mask. As long as I've got the same energy going, the client will think, I'm understood. You're the same as me.
Yeah.
We've got rapport. If I said, well, never mind about that now. You're here to be relaxed. I know it would still be bubbling up within them because they didn't feel understood. I had the same client who was in a different mood, and they said, well, I wasn't sure if I was going to see you today. You know, I'm so tired. And I'm not really sure if I've got much to talk about today because, you know, it's all working and this is what I would say. Well, no, nobody's asking you to see me if you don't want to. And I mean, if it's working, then that just means really that what we did last week was very effective, and maybe you want to make it even more effective. Maybe there's something else that you want to add to it. I don't know, but it's completely up to you. See, I'm meeting Amen. And I'm not pretending, Claire. This is the thing. I'm not pretending. I'm just really engaged with their state. And I intrinsically know, as you do, that on that kind of intuitive level, I don't want to fight. I'm not a fighter. I don't want that fight. I want to be on the same level. And what happens, you see, with this law of resonance, which is really underneath the whole rapport thing, if somebody is up there, bah, 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 they want you to be up there with them, and they'll do everything that they can for you to come up to their level. If you mirror the state with your matching and your mirroring and your pacing and your leading, which we'll demonstrate in a moment, then you can meet them there and bring them back down to a more conducive or calm state. You can't get there from there, you know.
No.
You can't meet them where they are by trying to force them into. Nobody can be forced into relaxation, you know, unless you've got some chemical you can inject into them to calm, or in their tea, you know. Just a little bit of something in their tea.
No, this is so powerful, really, the kind of coming to the same pace, same level. And then something else that I love talking about as well is when we talk about mirroring, it's the words that we use, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, with some reframing as well. You know, I like to get people to think. And if somebody uses the term responsibility, that they've got so many responsibilities, I might use the rapport to get them to stop and think and analyze that word a little bit, because the word that they've chosen is very important. So I might say, I'm disagreeing with them in a sense, but because I'm using the same energy, if somebody says, oh, I've just got so many responsibilities, I don't know what to do first. And I'll say, well, isn't it wonderful that you've got the ability to respond in such a way? Oh, the bank's just written to me and about the overdraft. Isn't it amazing that they have confidence in you to know that you're going to pay them? That's good that they know that you're going to respond and you've got the ability to do that. So rather than thinking you've got all this money to pay back, isn't it nice that they've got that confidence within you, knowing that you're going to respond? You know, that response ability literally means you have the ability to respond. So I use their word. That's a way of rapport. Well, she's used the same word, so she's not disagreeing with me, but she's doing a reframe. She's allowing me to know that word differently. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? Suddenly they just love you because you're just using the same words. It's kind of the same language. Oh, you know, oh, I like that girl. She loves this. I love it too.
Yeah.
But it is powerful because it's things, again, you don't. It really is those learning. There are techniques on there. There are learning techniques to be able to build rapport. If you don't know it, you could be spending hours with somebody without building any rapport at all because you're not using those technique. Whereas, you know, within 5 minutes, you can really connect with somebody, and then that's it. You almost, you know, when you're selling something, being able to use those techniques is really, it really kind of, it's like you cracked a code, haven't you?
Well, that's it. People do live by their own code. And certainly our principles, our ethics, the way we wish to live our lives, we hold on to those beliefs and values vehemently. And we almost, in a sense, don't want to be changed by anyone. We don't want that facade to shatter sometimes. And I'm really talking in a therapeutic way, though it happens in every area of life. In other words, let's bring it to a home situation. If you want to watch something on the television tonight and somebody else wants to watch the other side, or play a computer game or whatever, you absolutely know that you're right, don't you? And you might use everything that you can to say, no, I want to watch the television tonight, and you ought to watch it too, because this is very interesting program on dragonflies. And Jennie, do you know there's a British institution of dragonflies that you can look up the colours of? I found it. There's all sorts of interesting things you could be watching on television tonight, but maybe somebody that you're living with wants to go out or wants to do something else. Now we've got a difference of opinion, and rapport is vital to negotiation and to solving again something, resolving a dispute, no matter whether it's what you're going to watch on the television or some matter of immense importance within business. I've watched this. Have you seen this, Claire? I've watched this in business. People having a business meeting, very highbrow, powerful people, I think, very important people having a meeting. And I might have been talking to one of them before the meeting, and we're getting on very well. And they're using all visual statements. They might be saying, oh, Jennie, that's very interesting. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Yes, it's becoming clear to me now that you've put it that way. I really do. I do see what you mean. And now that I look at it that way, see, all of these phrases are visual phrases. On our NLP courses, we kind of initially, because it changes, initially we notice whether people are primarily visual. They're talking visual ways, they look up as they're talking, they're making pictures, so they're talking about pictures, things that they've seen, things they want you to see. And then all of a sudden, somebody they disagree with in the meeting starts talking about something that they obviously don't agree with, and they switch then. Well, I know you talk. I know what you're saying, and I've heard what you've had to say, but it just doesn't ring true for me. They suddenly, I'm going, what? Because we're in the business of looking at the form rather than the content. Form and content is different. They are now behaving out of rapport intentionally because they no longer agree with the person they're speaking with. They're actually using a different modality. They're either talking kinesthetically, doesn't feel right for me, even leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I don't think we're singing from the same hymn sheet. You know what I mean? They're actually using different senses now to communicate. Interesting. And with a client, just quickly, I'll let you talk in a minute. With a client, I used to see many clients with eating disorders, or even just people who think they're eating too much. And I think with this kind of lockdown happening, and particularly with the biscuits yesterday,
we're going back on the biscuits.
There could be a lot more clients that way. But, this is a time to break rapport, because breaking rapport or noticing when rapport is broken is just as important, because either you have the choice to mend it and bring the person back on board, that's a kinesthetic phrase, bring them back on board, or to know and want that break of communication. Usually the person then switches tactic, or how about a cup of tea? Because we know we don't agree, so let's do something that we do agree on. This might be a client, a weight control client, let's say, we've got on famously, everything's been wonderful, we've been talking away, and then I'm realizing I just have an hour. I've only got an hour. How am I going to stop them eating biscuits in an hour? So the opportunity arises when they say maybe. Well, you know what it's like when you haven't eaten all day, you've forgotten to have breakfast, and you're so busy, and you've gone out, and you're distracted with one thing and another, and there's always so much work to do, and then you get back and it's like 9:30, and you open the fridge and eat everything in sight. And I go, no. And they go, oh, just me then. Well, shall we talk about this now? You know, I don't want to keep agreeing with a client when I'm not going to be helping them.
Mm.
Sometimes, you know, we surround ourselves with people who agree with us because we don't want the conflict, or we just want to feel right.
Mm.
Maybe even
It's really important.
yes. And then quite often, I think you found this too, Claire, we get the most respect when we as consultants go into organizations and we're in a meeting and they say, well, we've always done it this way, blah, 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 blah. And you say, for what reason would you think that works well? When we disagree, which is the reason why we're there to promote change.
Yeah.
When we disagree, we get the most respect because we're bringing up a concept that maybe other employees within the organization have been too worried to voice. And suddenly we've opened the arena. We've done it with rapport because we have engaged with that energy. We haven't done it argumentatively. We've subtly said, when they've said, well, I believe we're doing the right thing. And you might say, oh, wonder why you would continue to believe something that isn't true. You can completely disagree with somebody, and in rapport, they'll go, oh, out of rapport, they'll go, what did you?
Yes, I see exactly what you mean. I see exactly what you mean. So I know I'm a visual. My cues are visual, which comes to my next questions to you, Jenny. What about the eyes? What can we say with our eyes? This is a huge part of rapport building, the eyes, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, in normal, everyday, lovely conversation, we talk to each other with our eyes. We allow ourselves to look at each other in the eyes, but if we continue to do it, the other person will feel uneasy.
Freaky.
You'll all be thinking about this now. Do you realize the disruption we're bringing to all these households?
Right here, right now.
What happens is that we look away at certain times, and usually when you're having a cup of tea with your friend, usually you'll have a sip of tea and you'll say something, and something very interesting, and then you'll look away and they'll look away at the same time. However, if they've got a problem and they reveal something that is personal, and you want to help them, then suddenly your caring, your empathy, your rapport is more. If you're a bit nervous about it and think, I don't think they should have really told me that, they're going to regret it tomorrow, particularly if they've got a glass of wine in their hand, then you might change the subject. Well, anyway, let's see what's on the TV. Anyway, da 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 da. You know what I mean? So there's this kind of rapport that continues and breaks even with our closest friend. So let's say that we hadn't met before and we were talking away at some sort of conference, and I was talking about feelings, and I was talking about things that I'd heard and places that I'd been and how I felt about it. And so I'm looking down quite a lot, and I'm looking to the side, and I'm talking about my favorite piece of music, and you're looking up when you're talking about visual things. You're talking about a piece of art, or you're talking about things that you've seen on your travels. If we didn't know each other, part of me would think, oh, you're not the same as me.
Mm.
Well, we're both talking about our travels. We're both talking about the same country, but you might be talking about all the things that you'd seen and how wonderful the waterfalls were and the statues, etc. And I'd be talking about things that I'd eaten or things that I'd heard with the bouzouki music in Greece. And you would think, well, I don't remember hearing any music. But isn't it wonderful that when people who have these different modalities, and the eyes are very indicative of that, as you know, looking up quite a lot, we're usually very visual people. Looking down and to the side, we're usually kinesthetic and auditory. It does mean that if we're together talking about an experience, it's very enriching because there's all these visual things I would have missed, and there's all these kinesthetic things that you might have missed. So together we have a much better picture of the entire event, though it can also mean that the unconscious thinks, you're not the same as me. I don't know what you're talking about. And we've been in conferences, haven't we, where you might have said to me, well, what about that woman and what she said, that, you know, the one with the yellow shoes in the front row? Yellow shoes. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, when you said such and such, she said so and so. Oh, now I know. Now I know. Because I wasn't using as a reference point my visual cortex. I was remembering how it made me feel when they commented or answered a question. So the eyes are very indicative of the modality, of the functioning of the awareness of the person. You know, things that are visual are very important to you, and things that I hear and I feel are very important to me. And this is what we base our memory on, isn't it, Claire? You know, things that you've seen and things that I've heard, you know.
Yeah. It's also why it's so important when you have teams, and to really kind of understand as well, to realize what are the teams doing and how the dynamic works. Because, you know, if everybody was visual kind of things, you know, you need to have different modality within the same team so everybody can bring something together.
Yeah. As a team leader, or even as a consultant going in to give a presentation, you have to cover it all, to use all of the senses. And I've learned to use the word sense rather than, do you see what I mean? Do you get a sense of what I'm talking about? Do you sense what I mean here? So it kind of leaves it open for people to then comment. And it's very important to allow them to comment, because when they do, they're using their body, they're using their tone of voice. You can tell if they agree or disagree, or if they're having trouble with the concept that you've presented. And we do present quite a few off the wall concepts, don't we, Claire? How your environment affects you positively or negatively. And I think we kind of, in business particularly, look upon things. You see the effect you have on me? We look upon things in a with our mental acuity, rather than a balance of what we want to conceptualize and what we actually physically relate to in our environment. Who would have thought that a pot plant or a desk at a quirky angle that doesn't really seem to fit and doesn't really bring harmony to the workplace can affect us? So we have a rapport with our environment too. I mean, there's environments we go into that we think, oh, wouldn't feel comfortable working here. You know what I mean, don't you, Claire?
Oh, yes, yes. That's a whole new subject. That's a whole new conversation we need to have. Yes, definitely. The environment affecting us, and we feel good because it feels good. You don't know why it's feeling good, but because, you know, it's that subconscious is coming in place before anything else. But yes, I think that's that's maybe we'll have to do another one on that one, only because we're probably going to have to finish off for today. I know it's like, you know, we just chit chat just so much. It's just and rapport. It really is such a broad subject that it's so important to really discover new things and train yourself at doing it. You know, this is the thing as well. You know, when you learn something or you heard something, just take it and then go and do it with other people, and, you know, see yourself, watch other people doing it, and then you can really realize what's happening around you. So it's kind of opening up your eyes, doesn't it? And then you just say, oh yeah, they've just done this, or they've just said that way, or they've, you know, that situation happened. So it really is enlightening, isn't it, when you're learning those new techniques and those new tools with an NLP kind of technique.
I would say for people that want to practice tonight, just practice being totally engrossed, all of your attention given to whoever you're communicating with, and smile. I don't mean an inane grin.
The fake smile.
I mean, smile naturally and just be fascinated in the other person. And give some eye contact, look away when appropriate, but that other person will sense your attention. This is what happens when people first meet, when they like each other, you know, and do what they're doing. So if you're not getting any eye contact and they're just watching TV or they're fiddling with something, you do the same. Get interested in what they're interested in, because you know, you try and communicate with people and sometimes that's completely lost and you get frustrated because you're not in rapport. So get rapport first. Be really interested with the even if you think you're faking it, because after a while you will become interested.
You will feel.
To begin with, you might be faking it, but just really be fascinated. I wonder why they're so fascinated in their phone, rather than, what are you doing on your phone? Who are you talking to?
Oh no, who are you not talking?
Go on your phone and go, ooh. And then they'll be more interested in your phone than theirs after a while.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, Jenny, what I've done as well before the video, I did a quick guide that I use when I do my, you know, customer service training or that kind of things. I've pulled a few bullets point together on the quick guide of rapport building, and I've actually put it on a free download. So anybody who's, you know, wanting the free downloads, we've put the link, haven't you, under the video for, you know, just go and check it out. So you'll have the free download that we're giving you yesterday, you know, from Jennie for anchoring happiness, and you'll have that little guide to rapport building today, which is amazing. And we're super happy. There was Felicity here with us this afternoon. Artie, hi, nice to see you again. Denise was here. Hello, Denise. We're going to be chatting to you guys in a few weeks' time, aren't we? That's really cool.
Oh, yes.
All the way to the Philippines. That's just really cool. So thank you very much, everybody. We are going to be back tomorrow. What are we talking about tomorrow?
Is it relationships?
It is relationships. So it's going in even deeper, isn't it? That rapport, it's like that connections. But I think there's a lot. So you've said quite a few things that really stayed in me during the training. So I think it'd be really cool to talk about relationship, especially at this moment in time when everybody has been in so many kind of relationships that maybe they were not used to, or they had to, you know. So I think it'd be really interesting to see how NLP can help with growing, building, nurturing relationships.
Absolutely. And addressing any problems that might be festering, you know, let's nip those in the bud so that we can all get along with each other much better than we do right now. You know, there's a lot that we can do.
if anybody's got questions actually about relationship, just pin us an email either to Jennie or a message on Messenger on WhatsApp, and then we'll be able to answer those questions tomorrow with we're on the live. So that's really, really cool. We hope that we added loads of value to you today. Go and do the downloads. Thank you so much, Jennie, for your amazing kind of insight on rapport building and
dragonflies.
And dragonflies, obviously, that's elementary knowledge that we have to have.
We'll have to work on what we're going to talk about tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find something else tomorrow. Well,
Yeah.
Keep caring anyway, keep buzzing and keep striving, everybody, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Striving and thriving.
Striving and thriving together. Striving to thrive.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Oh, brilliant.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody. Bye.